Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Artificial DM. Today, we're going to take a look at another RPG horror story. And this RPG horror story is one about a GM who not only excludes, bullies, and intentionally targets the OP, but the entire goal of the GM was to run this game so OP couldn't start his own campaign. Let's go ahead and jump into this RPG horror story. The GM targets player, changes ruling, and tricks party into PvP. By that Pokemon Ranger. Sorry for how long this horror story is. This took place about a year ago now, and I'm just venting my frustration as some sort of therapy. A while back ago, I was part of a Discord community that acted as a hub for plenty of tabletop RPGs. How it would work is that approved GMs would post a pitch for a campaign they wanted to play, and people in the server could join if they pleased. Server's rules were as follows. Any games held would take place in a new server with an invite link in the hub server. That way the GM can organize chats and files however they please without clogging the main hub. The hub owner would be allowed in all game servers, even if he did not join the campaign itself, to make sure that no one feels uncomfortable during games. Be kind to other players and keep personal drama out of the game. This game happened to be for Pokemon Tabletop United. The entire hub was aware that I was planning a PTU game, one I had originally started planning for my in-real-life tabletop group before the pandemic hit, and we could not meet up anymore. From what little they knew of the game before I stopped preparing the in-real-life version, a handful of people were excited to play. On the day before I finished up planning and writing up a pitch, another member of the server posted his own pitch for a Pokemon tabletop game. I would later learn that this guy did not like me for some reason. This group generally disliked playing more than one campaign with the same game at the same time, and I knew that there was no way enough people in the hub would join my campaign if his started. So my campaign ended after a few months of replanning before it had a chance to even reach Session 0. Honestly, that's kind of rough. As for you setting up your campaign, getting everything planned, and then another guy starting the same game, I mean that's tough, but at the same time, you can also go ahead and look elsewhere. Also, from this point on, I'm calling PTU, Pokemon Tabletop United, whatever, I'm just calling it Pokemon. Here are a few important characters in this story. The names come from the trainer classes in Pokemon. Me, a wannabe Pokemon Ranger, athlete class, with the skill of a youngster Joey. Ranger's skill and self-doubt will come up during the story. GM has his own GMPC, a boy who wanted to be a reporter specializing in zoology. His GMPC doesn't actually do anything, but it's the lack of anything happening to the GMPC that becomes relevant. Hub owner, the guy who owns the initial hub server and watched and commented in the background, like the YouTube comment section. Ace Trainer Grass, another player who specializes in grass types. Said she wanted to feel like one of the NPCs in the games, or like a gym leader of sorts. Ace Trainer Psychic, who had the same goals as Grass. When I realized that my game had absolutely no chance of running anymore, I decided I may as well join GM's game. I decided to play a Pokemon Ranger, and got the GM's approval. My Ranger comes from a family of Pokemon Rangers, and his father personally instilled upon him the values of a Ranger. He saw all the good that the Rangers do in the world, and he wants to make a difference in the world too. He dreamed to become a Ranger from that day on, and one day hopes to work at the same Ranger base as his father. The GM explains that he would love for a character to train to be a Ranger one day, and that the idea would fit perfectly in his world. The inciting incident in the campaign is that the region's local professor hired a few interns to conduct studies for him before being sent to investigate mysterious appearances throughout the region. Totally not a custom legendary Pokemon. He tells me that my Ranger would be at a bit of a disadvantage since they'd be locked into one Pokemon partner plus any partners I find in the wild, but I'm fine with the risks. If anything, being backed into a corner and unprepared at times would work better with how I wanted to play the character. After finishing my character sheet, the GM asked an odd request. He knows that I'm good at navigating and managing Discord servers, and asked if I could help him with the physical setting up of the server. No big deal, I can help make sure the game runs smoothly, and at least share some of my ideas on the Discord side of things I had in mind for what my campaign would have been like. The campaign starts as expected. The professor gives the party a tour of their lab, introduces the party to his GMPC, the senior assistant in the lab that wanted to specialize in zoology. GMPC greets the party, immediately joins the group, and kicks it off with everyone, makes sure everyone has a room in the lab, and all that jazz. After a few days in game, the professor gathers the party and asked if we could follow him to an abandoned building nearby in town. Weird sounds have been coming from the building, and he wants to see what could be making such squeaking sounds late at night. We prepare to go in and investigate, and are met with a family of Alolan Rattatas, a form that didn't live naturally in the region, which immediately attack us. My ranger ends up moving first and sends out his starter, Squirtle. Squirtle attempts to tackle the family of Rattatas, landing a hit. Rattatas attack back, damaging Squirtle. Another player in the party, Grass, sends out a grass-type Pokemon with Stun Spore and proceeds to use the move on the pile of Rattatas. The GM informs us that it hits only my Ranger Squirtle, and all the Rattatas dodged, even the ones on top of my Squirtle. GMPC says we should wait and see what the Rattatas do, then out of character tells the rest of the party that there's no need to attack anything. After the round of combat, the GM informs us the Rattatas were not really there. They were merely illusions.
No, not illusions,
he continues, trying to be dramatic.
More like ghosts of the past, reliving a tragic incident.
Rattatas immediately cease attacking my Squirtle and then run around the abandoned house. I ask what the heck happened? How could they never have been real if they managed to receive and inflict damage? The GM shrugs and says that he laid all the clues to show that the Rattatas were not real. We should have figured that out on our own. I counter that they could not have been fake because they attacked us, and he agreed moments earlier that they both did damage to my Ranger Squirtle and received damage, meaning that the Squirtle had to make physical contact at least twice. The GM shuts me down. Grass chimes in and asks if he should take back that move, since we should have known they were fake, and the party would have seen the Rattatas move through the Squirtle if they were never real. GM doubles down and says that my Squirtle is still paralyzed and is still damaged from the Rattatas. I groan and accept it. I make a mental note to have my ranger think back to this moment, as a moment he shouldn't have rushed into battle. I wouldn't even remember the context by next session, so let's move on. We continue looking through the abandoned house. Absolutely nothing there interesting, other than the ghost Rattatas fighting something we can't see. No footprints, no ghostly images, not even a sign as to what happened to the ghost Rattatas, as the ghosts literally disappear. Fun waste of time. Professor says he'll research what he learned that day and get back to us later. Next day, the party goes into town to gather some supplies for training Pokemon and to ask around about the haunted house. Maybe there are some rumors going around, or maybe someone saw something we didn't. We tried to speak to a good number of people, and absolutely no one in the entire town is willing to speak with us. Why is the entire town ignoring us? One of the other party members asks. The GMPC speaks up.
Maybe it's because we have a ranger with us.
The entire party is confused. One player inquires, why would that make a difference? The GM begins to explain to us out of character that the Pokemon Rangers in this region are very hated. A very corrupt organization. They care more about money and power than protecting Pokemon. They literally go out of their way to treat citizens cruelly for the fun of it. I get annoyed and call out the GM. What do you mean this is what the Rangers are like? Since when were Rangers anything like that?
They were always like that. You should have asked me what the Rangers were like before making a Ranger. That's how the Rangers work in my region.
Now the players are actively confused. One of them messaged me and asked what's going on, but I have absolutely no idea how I'm supposed to answer them. I bring up my character backstory and ask how the Rangers can be so hated if he approved my backstory talking about how loved and cherished they are for protecting people. His only response is that I should have asked him ahead of time. He refuses to budge and says that the entire town is going to hate me and refuse to talk to the party whenever my ranger is with them. So, after my ranger leaves to head back to the lab, the session continued without my ranger. For the next 2 to 3 hours, the party does other things without me, while I'm listening in on the call. Who knows? Maybe GM will have something happen at the lab? Nope. Absolutely nothing happens with my ranger the entire session. As far as I know, he went to his room to take a long nap. I messaged the DM after the session to ask what gives. This is 2 sessions in a row. It feels like he's targeting me, and I have no idea why. GM apologized and tells me that he hasn't been targeting me. The Rangers being hated was just important to the story, and he didn't think I'd mind so much. I then ask why the whole thing with the Rattatas happened, and he says that it will make sense later in the story. Finally, I ask why he wasted my time for most of the session, and literally made my ranger irrelevant, and not even have anything take place in the lab. He says that there was nothing for my ranger to do, but promises my ranger won't be in that position again. In hindsight, I don't know why I trusted anything he said, since he never actually explained anything to me, but whatever. I wanted to play Pokemon, and did not want to have to find and interact with a new group. Besides, this will open up a few different paths I can take my character, as much as I hate the whole corrupt organization thing. My ranger is already going to start to feel inadequate and pathetic. Getting everyone's hate and being told by angry townspeople that he's worthless would probably help me make things worse for my ranger. Between sessions, we're joking around in general chat and start talking about the haunted house. I came up with an extremely convoluted strategy that we could have done to have healed my ranger Squirtle if everyone in the party wanted to waste their time and resources instead of heading to a Pokemon Center or using a paralysis heal. One of the other party members, the Psychic, had a Pokemon with Healing Wish. Here is the description of Healing Wish from the Pokemon rulebook, and I'm just going to read the highlights. The user immediately faints, lowering its HP to 0. The target is immediately cured of up to 3 injuries, healed to their maximum hit points, and has the frequency of all moves restored. My convoluted strategy, which I prefaced was only something that could work if the GM was not paying attention or extremely bored, was to have Psychic's character Pokemon use Healing Wish while standing right next to my ranger. Healing Wish would fully heal the Squirtle while knocking out the Pokemon that used it. The Pokemon that would faint would end up falling on top of my ranger, knocking him out and earning enough experience to level up, thus bringing them to 1 HP. Then the Psychic would be able to use a potion on their Pokemon. The group begins to laugh, including Psychic. The GM, however, is not happy.
No,
He interrupts.
you cannot do that. I forbid it. Besides, if she were to use that move, you'd have to roll a d20 after the Pokemon faints to see if it even heals the Squirtle. If you roll low enough, you might actually kill the Squirtle.
All of us stop talking for a few minutes. The heck is this guy talking about? Eventually, Psychic posted a picture of the move from the rulebook and asked where it says anything that the GM claimed was the case. The GM explains that it's not in the rulebook. His homebrew version of the move had that bonus effect because it had such a low cost. Besides, his homebrew does that for all healing moves and healing items. Okay, can we take a pause here? Anytime that you cast Healing Word, you gotta roll a d20, you have 5% chance to kill your target. Any healing move, item, at that rate, I believe the players would forgo healing. They would probably go ahead and be like, I guess we're going into town, taking a long rest. Having a 5% chance, no takebacks, on possibly killing your character, that sucks. Everyone in the group collectively calls GM out on this. When did he ever tell us that we were playing a homebrew version of Pokemon? Was he going to wait until someone actually tried one of these moves? And why was there a chance that this healing move had a chance to kill, not knock out, a Pokemon? We keep demanding answers from him, but the only thing GM is willing to explain is that this is his homebrew. However, he is willing to retcon on all that if we promise not to try anything ridiculous like that plan I came up with,
just to get out of a bit of role-playing.
At this point, I'm fuming. What does he mean I'm doing this to get out of role-playing? Literally, the only moment I wouldn't roleplay was when Ranger stormed off after being told how awful the Rangers were. Not to mention, I had my Ranger reflect on the whole Rattata incident as a moment to show his weakness and growing as a person. No more running straight first into battle. He would have to work on thinking before acting. Not to mention that this was all meant as a joke, which everyone, except for apparently the GM, understood from the get-go. We were not in the middle of a session, we were having fun. It was a plan I myself said no reasonable person would have allowed, and everyone laughed along. I asked him why he was going all out on something that was clearly a joke, and going out of his way to come up with BS excuses to say I'm screwing something up. He denies doing any of this, and goes on a rant in the general chat about how I'm such an awful player, and have been going out of my way to ruin the game since the beginning. I'm just jealous that someone else was running a Pokemon game when I couldn't, and I'm trying to make sure his can't succeed. Then he starts throwing shade at me and starts to explain to me different campaigns that I ran that he didn't even play in, and explain why they failed. Some notable comments were, one player went out of his way to treat everyone like crap and ruin a Pathfinder game because I was a rules lawyer in my Pathfinder game. I was always trying to play as the main character in every campaign that I was a player in, and he cited 3 different campaigns ran by different people, and I didn't play in those campaigns. No one even likes playing games that I GM'd, because I never put any thought into anything. Apparently, 1 year-long campaign that ended because school started taking up too much of my time, and I could no longer GM, is an instance of me not being able to plan anything for the life of me. I'm livid by this point. I go offline of Discord, turn off notifications, and do anything I can to think of anything except Pokemon. Next morning, I hop back on Discord. There were only a few more messages from the GM continuing his rant, but nothing particularly interesting happened in general chat. However, a few of the other players messaged me a few interesting notes. Grass tells me that the GM asked him to use Stun Spore during the Rattata incident. The GM wouldn't explain the context, but promised that Grass would love the end result. After, Grass asked GM privately what the hell that was for, but GM told him that it was just a joke gone too far, and he had already apologized to me privately for it. Survey says that was a lie. Grass sent me a picture of the conversation. Psychic tells me that she messaged the GM for clarification on the Healing Wish and other healing moves. Psychic wanted to train a Pokemon to specifically be a supportive Pokemon and wanted clarification on why some healing moves would not work, especially since he cited the cost of Healing Wish as the reason it had the drawback. GM apologized for everything going down and says he only said all that because he was tired of me metagaming and needed to shut me up before it became a problem. He then explains to her that I was completely serious about the whole Healing Wish plan, with absolutely no proof or argument as to why I must have been serious, and that she shouldn't listen to me next time I come up with some harebrained plan that only benefits me. I'm done at this point. I messaged the GM one more time and ask why the hell he keeps explicitly going after me like this. He denies ever targeting me, and denies ever messaging Grass about Stun Spore, unaware that I have the screenshots Grass sent me. I posted the picture and tried to move the conversation forward. Did I do something to upset you? Did I insult you, or do something you didn't like? All you're doing right now is being rude. He continues to insist he's not targeting me. Nothing I said was true, and he's very insulted I would accuse him of such a thing, and he doesn't want to talk to me for the rest of the day. I double down and say I have a right to know why he's going out of his way to treat me like crap. His response? He kicks me from the Pokemon Tabletop server. I block the guy and message the hub owner, who was in that server and must have seen or heard everything that had taken place, but the hub owner never got back to me. I take a few personal days offline to collect myself and try to calm down over all the bat guano that went down. About a week later, Psychic messages me out of the blue. She shows me pictures from a private channel on the Pokemon server. I don't know when this channel started, but the GM started a private channel that only a few people had access to. Psychic had user list hidden, but if I had to guess, everyone but me was in this channel, including the hub owner. In every picture Psychic sent me, GM is complaining about me, how awful I've been to him, how awful I was behind everyone's back, and how he's happy he finally convinced me to leave. Apparently, I left the Pokemon server of my own volition after deleting my character sheet and having a hissy fit, and they were all better off without me. The hub owner is also in this channel and begins talking crap about me as well, asking why I even bother playing in these games. Turns out that GM only made a Pokemon game because he knew I was finishing replanning mine, and he wanted to waste my time. He hadn't even read the rulebook until after people joined his campaign, and he didn't think I was starting mine anymore. All of the Ranger stuff was stuff he made up on the spot to aggravate me and ruin the character I had in mind. He even made up all that nonsense about healing moves just for an excuse to call me out. And he admitted this, all in the private channel about me. And after all this, I still have absolutely no idea what this GM actually had against me. After I received these messages, I thank Psychic for letting me know about this chat and not treating me like crap like the GM and the hub owner. I delete everything I had posted in another campaign I was playing in with the hub, then leave the hub entirely. As far as I'm aware, the campaign's still going on. Went to message a few of the players I actually liked the other day to ask about joining a one-shot to try the new Avatar Legends Quick Start. Psychic was excited to join my one-shot and had a blast, but Grass had unfriended me and blocked me at some point after this all went down, which confused me because we were still friends after I left, and we talked every so often. TLDR, GM targets me, makes sure I can't start my own campaign by starting his own similar campaign with all of the people I would have invited to mine. Then goes out of his way to target me and make my time playing in his campaign a living distortion world. I've said it before, gonna say it again. Don't use roleplay games to get your point across to another player. If you're having issues with someone, communicate. Talk with them. OP tried to communicate, but I do feel that there is something else going on here. And it could be a case of their roleplay style, it could be that OP tries to be the main character too often. However, either way, what OP went through should not be tolerated. I'm honestly surprised that the rest of the players, upon hearing what the DM did, didn't decide, okay, I guess we're leaving now, because finding out that the DM constantly lies and was constantly targeting this one player, who's to say that the DM isn't going to turn around and do that to you, over any minor detail? Now, as far as the Discord community goes, overall that sounds like a good idea. That way you have a place where you can establish, hey, I'm looking for a group or looking for a game, and from there you can branch out, and if you do end up having issues either with the GM or a player, the hub owner can get involved. They're a little bit of a third party who's not as biased. The only way that I could see this being better, maybe like a bunch of moderators who can help evaluate situations. Hopefully you enjoyed the story, and if you did, please hit the like button. It really helps me out. That will do it for today, and until next time, hope you feel inspired.